Nearly a year ago, an electronic black box launched the Philippines on its way to an automated election odyssey 2010. The SAES 1-800 voting machine, also known as the Precinct Count Optical Scan or PCOS machine. The Smartmatic company that created it describes it as an optical scanner unit designed to register and tally with maximum security the votes marked on electoral ballots. Before Smartmatic won the bid in June last year to supply the automated voting machines, Filipino voters were unfamiliar with PCOS technology. A previous attempt in 2008 at pilot testing automated voting in the autonomous region in Muslim Mindanao used two different types of machines: the Smartmatic Sahid Direct Recording Electronic Machine and the Avante International Technology Optical Mark Reader. At first glance, the PCOS really just looks like an oversized fax machine. But of course, the PCOS is a sophisticated piece of standalone hardware and encrypted software. And like an artifact from some technologically advanced alien race, it was thoroughly analyzed, probed, and tested repeatedly, sometimes with sizzling results.
Danger, Bill Robinson, danger!
But aside from that single shortened backup battery, IT specialists, wary of electronic or e-voting, warned the PCOS would imperil the 2010 polls, despite repeated assurances from Smartmatic executives, election officials, and the COMELEC's own IT experts. An oft-repeated concern was the invisible way with which the PCOS would record the individual votes for each candidate in each precinct, count the totals, and transmit them wirelessly to central servers. Political and technology analysts worried about potential hacking or manipulation of the election results. An electronic sleight of hand they would call Hocus Picus or Electronic Garci, a dubious salute to the former COMELEC Commissioner Virgilio Garciliano and his alleged role in massive election fraud in 2004. Smartmatic explained the PCOS could make the invisible process visible and therefore verifiable, demonstrating it over and over again during pre- and post-election testing and, of course, on election day itself. The company showed how the optical scanner records a digital image of each ballot and adds it to a log entry, indicating how the system processed that specific ballot. The paper ballots themselves would be stored in bins underneath the PCOS machines. But barely a week before the May 10 elections, a glitch in the layout design of the paper ballots required an urgent reconfiguration of the compact flashcards. These contained specific instructions on how each PCOS machine would look for the shaded ovals corresponding to votes. Suddenly, alarm bells sounded as Filipinos nervously imagined that these flashcards could become the key to invisibly altering election results. The scare over the PCOS flashcards unearthed a 2006 U.S. election-related story that most Filipinos are unaware of. In an HBO documentary entitled Hacking Democracy, an optical scan voting machine designed by Diebold Election Systems was tested by an election watchdog group, Black Box Voting. The group asked Finnish computer programmer Harry Hursti to try to hack Diebold's AccuVote optical scan machine. One AccuVote machine was chosen at random from an election warehouse in Leon County, Florida. A day before, the county supervisor of elections, Ayen Sancho, had given Hursti one Diebold memory card. Hursti programmed the memory card in his hotel room using an off-the-shelf card reader. The card was inserted into the randomly selected AccuVote machine. County election supervisor Sancho then ran a mock election using paper ballots with yes or no answers to the question, can the votes on this Diebold system be hacked using the memory card? Before the ballots were fed into the machine, the supervisor printed a zero total tape, a paper record that was supposed to show that nothing had been altered before the election began. The zero tape is similar to the zero report printed out by a PCOS machine before the start of the voting process. 8 volunteers participated in the test, shading the oval on their paper ballots. 6 voted no, the election could not be hacked using the memory card. 2 voted yes, it could be hacked. The ballots were fed into the AccuVote machine, which properly counted 8 votes. But when the poll tape was printed, the results showed 7 instead of 2 yes votes. Instead of 6 no votes, the printout showed 1 no vote. To prove that it wasn't just the poll tape that was altered, the memory card hacked by Hursti was uploaded to the central tabulator. The result was the same as the poll tape: 7 yes votes and 1 no vote. So were the PICOS flashcards also as vulnerable to hacking as the AccuVote memory cards in the U.S.? The masked man, now comically known as Koala Boy, claims they were. Koala Boy said he and his accomplices had sold electronically generated fake votes to some candidates while reducing the tallies of others. Smartmatic, for its part, emphatically says it couldn't have been done. At its secure warehousing facility in Cabuyao, Laguna, Smartmatic executives demonstrated to congressional probers how an altered flashcard would not be read by a PICOS machine.
We actually opened an audit log from a PICOS in the presence of everyone. We changed one number in the file. We saved it, and the PICOS rejected it. And then there was no way to get the PICOS to get running, which is actually proof of two things: that you can't tamper, and of the existence of digital signatures. Because the reason the PICOS knows there was a change on it is because the digital signature does not match anymore the contents of the card.
Koala Boy, meanwhile, has dropped out of sight, leaving a hanging question straight out of the 1960s Lone Ranger TV series: who was that masked man? And the Twitter alter ego of the PICOS machine, lawyer and software developer Yves Gonzalez, is pretty much convinced that the SAES 1-800 has earned the people's trust.
I think for the general population, I think what happened here was enough to show us that that there was no hanky-panky or there was no fraud that involved in these elections.